Okay, so it seems like there's been another trade in NHL that happened recently. This time it's a little bit more entertaining for these two over here. The Maple Leafs are involved. They have acquired Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, a fifth round pick from Chicago, and another from 2024, and another fifth round pick from Chicago in 2025, in exchange for Toronto's first round pick in 2025, which has a condition on it. Toronto's second round pick in 2025, Joey Anderson, and Pavel Gogliev.
Gogolev.
Gogliev. Okay,
Gogo.
boys. Where were you when this trade happened, and how happy are you guys? Start, Christian.
Dave laid out first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first here. So I was at school, but I was specifically in a lab, doing taping, like athletic therapy taping for injuries or whatever. And so how it works every week, it's like the teacher's like, okay, guys, we're gonna be doing this type of taping this week, and then we're all like, yeah. Then she's like, okay, guys, come close. Somebody volunteer. I'm gonna tape your leg. And I have to start recording. I got to keep these videos for practice. And I'm recording. And then I just start getting texts from a bunch of different places. And I see my cousin, he's like, look at your phone right now. And I'm like, I absolutely sacrificed the recording. I learned nothing today. And I just went, teacher must have thought like I was psycho or something. I was just smiling at my phone while she taped the guy's hairy leg. That's where I was. And I was freaking hype, man.
Dave, where were you?
Dave, yeah.
All right. So, this morning I had to put a couple. So last night we recorded our podcast. So I was, putting on some finishing touches there, getting all that stuff together. It was all good. And then I was like, dude, I have to go out and do some grocery shopping. I woke up late today. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So I was like, all right, whatever thing. I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, please, God, don't let anything happen. So I'm at the store. I guess I'm going to say, like, it's a place I work. So I was at Longo's. It's a place I work. And all of a sudden, I got the notification from Elliot Friedman. All I saw was Chicago retains 50% of McCabe. And I was like, oh, no way. Jake McCabe got traded. As soon as I saw that pop up on my thing, 3 separate people called me. 3 separate people texted me, so 6 people altogether. And one of the guys that works at the store, who's also a big Leaf fan, is like, oh my God, did you see the trade? I'm like, oh my God, did the Leafs actually pull through here? Did the Leafs actually get Jake McCabe? And yes, they did. What an absolute W from Wild Woobus, everybody. Let's spam Wild Woobus in the YouTube comments on Twitter. What a W from Kyle Dubas.
Well, Dave, this time for this instant reaction, we're glad to have you on board. You're not drunk in the middle of a banquet hall at midnight, which is a good thing.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time you can get drunk reactions. Depends on when Dubas wants to do his work next time.
I'll tell you what, last time he did the community a little bit dirty because it was in the middle of the night, Eastern time. Yeah. Midnight, right? This time, in the middle of the workday, Dubas, you couldn't have waited a couple hours, let everybody settle in. I guess not. Anyway, I think you guys will take it. How do you guys feel with the trade, Christian? How do you feel about the situation? How do you feel about the lineup?
So, the timeline here, we got to go back a little bit because McCabe was the talk of the town last time Chicago came into Toronto. It was McCabe watch. I had said this. I'm like, I'm looking forward to scouting guys on the Blackhawks when they came to Toronto. Patrick Kane, Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, Max Domi, all these guys came to town. And boy, did they lay a stinker against the Leafs. It was not a good showing. We were ripping Jake McCabe in the chat at first because, man, he had a bad first 30 minutes of that game. He might have been a -3, head in the sky, falling. It was not a good showing for McCabe, for Patrick Kane. One guy who did have a good showing was Sam Lafferty, who's the other guy that Leafs are getting here. So kudos to Sam Lafferty. But we were talking about McCabe for months, right? As a potential option, a guy with term and a guy with bite. And this is absolutely a response to the Garnet Hathaway edition by Boston and Orlov. And also a response to the Jeannot trade that we didn't get to talk about yesterday either. This does feel like a direct response. And yeah, I don't know how as a Leaf fan you can look at this, even given another first going out the door. how can you not be excited after
Dude,
seeing this trade?
we said this on that. Did we say it on the Lost episode? We said it on the Ryan O'Reilly special, holiday pod, whatever we want to call it. The real episode 22. Dude, those first round picks are not gonna like. First of all, Kyle Dubas, like, there's a really good chance we don't even use that first round pick. That first round pick, first top 10 protected, so that's already huge W. Number two, Kyle Dubas likes to just throw those first round picks into the fire to get a second and a third back, basically, right? Yeah, the chances of that first round pick making an impact right out of the draft are slim to none. What realistically will happen with that 2025 first is they should realistically be on track to be in the league, I would say, by 2029. By 2029, I'm hoping to like have my life sorted out. I'm hoping to be like, well established in the sports media landscape. Like 2029 is like so far away. That's almost eight. That's what is it? 7 years away? 8 years away?
It'd be 6 years away, man. But like,
Six.
still, we will be 29.
Yeah,
Just put it that way.
100%.
Think when
We're gonna
when you
be
think about it like
pushing
that, it feels like
30.
forever ago, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sorry. So one of my family members was like, so like, what does it mean for the Leafs? And I'll
Yeah.
read you word for word the text that I said. So it was my aunt actually. She's a really big Leaf fan too. So I'll tell you word for word. She's like, is this good? Are we happy? And I was like, yes, the Leafs got two good players for picks down the line that won't make an impact until so the kids in this chat, so that would be my brother and my cousins, are in university. And a couple mid-tier prospects. So man, you literally can't go wrong with a trade. Well, listen, there's always a chance for a trade to go wrong, but the chances for this trade to blow up in the Leafs' face, there's a very, very obvious way that this trade blows up in the Leafs' face, and that is not getting through the first round, right? This trade is just insurance for Kyle Dubas to say, listen, I did all I could with this team. If they can't get through the first round, the the
The onus.
onus is not on. The Dave Nonis is not
The
on.
Dave Otis notice.
The
Notice Otis.
Dave Nonis onus is not on Kyle Dubas,
Yeah.
because we've seen over the past, I would say, 3 years, the Foligno deal, the Giordano deal, now the Ryan
Muzzin deal.
O'Reilly, the Muzzin deal. That was even before the Foligno
Maybe
deal,
now. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I don't know if
The
that was
Jack
Dubas
Campbell
speaking.
deal. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know if that was Dubas. The Jack Campbell deal. We've seen time and time again that Dubas is willing to sacrifice, futures down the line to ensure that this team finally gets over that hump. And I think, especially, we could bring it back last year with the Giordano deal. Bringing him and Colin Blackwell in at that time for I think it was a relatively it wasn't that much that they gave
I
up,
think it was
but
2 seconds, which is,
yeah,
hey,
which
dude,
okay.
we've gotten
But
our money's worth.
Giordano's still on the team. He re-signed for this year and next year at basically league min. And then this year you also add a former captain in Ryan O'Reilly, Nola Chari, who's a very serviceable bottom six forward. And then now you're also adding Jake McCabe, who should realistically slot into the Leafs top four, hopefully.
He's like a 4-5, but
He's
probably a 4. Yeah, I'd probably call him a 4, man.
yeah. He plays both
Yeah.
sides as well.
Yeah.
And then you're also adding in Sam Lafferty as well, who's on his hottest goal scoring stretch in his career at 10 goals. His previous career high was 6. But that's not what he's brought in for. He's brought in to be a shutdown penalty killer, and that's what he does best. And what he does, he brings that to the table. Man, like there's just so many like thoughts. Like, just I'm getting hit by so many things right now. But
okay, question for you, Dave.
wow,
Question for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say you've got somebody in the family who the Leafs are like their secondary team because maybe hockey's not their primary sport. Maybe they're a Blue Jays team person first, right? Maybe they like their baseball. And if they came to you and they said, "Can you give me the equivalent to what Dubas has done this year?" Dave, what would your answer be? Do you think I'm drawing the right comparison, or do we think that maybe I'm premature here?
Are
You
you
know what?
saying in comparison to the Jays?
2015.
Oh, you know what?
Doesn't it feel like it?
I was
God,
thinking
it
for
does,
some reason I
man.
was thinking this past off season, like getting rid of
No,
like Gurriel. I was like, that doesn't really make sense. But when they added David Price, Tulo,
too low.
who
And a
else
bunch
was
of other
there?
guys, man. Like so many
There was
bullpen guys. I
another
remember
player.
Marklow, Ben Revere,
What's his name?
right?
Jason Grilly. Was that
Yes,
2015 or
that was
2016?
2016. 2016. But like LaTroy Hawkins was
Oh,
another.
that's
Like
Troy
they added
Hawkins.
so many
Oh
guys.
man,
They added
holy
so many
smoke!
dudes. Like
Yeah, just insurance.
that's what this feels like.
That's what it
Kind
is.
of. This is the closest you can get for the Leafs in a hard cap world, right?
I think 100%. That's like for a Toronto sports fan, that's probably the best. Maybe the only other one that I could think of was the 2019 Raptors. They had Kawhi, but then they went out and they got Marc
Got
Gasol,
Gasol.
right?
Yeah, no,
And,
that's a good
and
one
Marc
too. That's a
Gasol
good
was
one.
a major part of that championship. Like if you don't have Marc Gasol there, it's very tough to get through the 76er series and then the Bucks series,
And who
Um,
like if you had to talk about Gasol as a play style guy, well, not even play style, but defensively, he shut down Joel
yeah.
Embiid. Like he was
Oh
in
yeah.
Embiid's head,
Dude,
right? That's
he single-handedly made Joel Embiid
cry.
cry
Yeah,
after game 7. Like I've never
literally,
seen a
no
professional
hyperbole here,
athlete.
man.
Yeah,
No
he was in
hyperbole
tears,
at all. So
sobbing.
that's what we've got McCabe here for. He's got to
Mhm.
make somebody cry. I want to see Tampa Bay Lightning crying at the end of this series.
Hopefully
Okay.
it's Brandon Hagel or Nick Paul.
uh,
You,
I'll take anyone.
you
But
guys
anyway.
listed a lot of different guys, a lot of different players in a lot of different sports.
Mm-hmm.
You guys also have a lot of guys on your roster. Who's the odd guy out?
Yes. Even though the report from Sierra Valley was that the Canucks have been circling around Kerfoot because the Leafs are over the cap right now. If they were to take Murray off LTIR, which is the assumption, I don't see them doing the he slipped down the stairs and his ankle's actually like it's gone. His ankle disappeared. He's out to the playoffs. I don't see that happening. I think Murray is going to come back relatively soon, and in that case, we are 1 million over the cap. I honestly don't know if it's going to be Kerfoot though. I feel like they like Kerfoot too much, and maybe I like Kerfoot too much for him to be the guy. I would much rather it Engvall. I would even like entertain. Actually, no. I feel like it would have to be Engvall. So in my mind, if you are letting Kerfoot go, it cannot be for pennies on the dollar. It could be an idea I heard is you go to Seattle. Seattle's got another pending free agent they wouldn't want to lose for nothing. Carson Soucy. The difference here is Carson Soucy makes 2.75. Kerfoot makes 3.5. There could be something there where it's here's pending UFA for pending UFA, quote unquote, good old hockey trade, and maybe that's how they make it work. But yeah, like the point stands. Someone has to go here. This is not the
Yeah,
final nail. Like Dubas is
100%.
not done, which is the incredible part here. He can still get creative. I don't even think it's going to be a cap dump. Dubas doesn't really do cap dumps. Like yeah, Mrazek was a cap dump, but to me, what Kerfoot's shown this year is like maybe he's not worth 3.5 million, but is he not worth 2 million, 2.5 million? This is a guy who shouldn't be just a straight cap dump. So even if they're sending him to Vancouver and then Vancouver's flipping him that thing, like I don't know. It's exciting that Dubas isn't done in my mind. But yes, this roster doesn't really fit right now.
So Christian, I think you brought up a good point in our own chat where I believe you said it would be something along the lines of maybe Kerfoot, a prospect. You're looking at somebody like, no offense to Pavel Gogolev, but that's an ECHL.
That's the first time Brian
AHL
heard of
force.
Pavel Gogolev.
Yeah, I don't know who
That's
that
the
is.
first time he said his name.
Pavel Gogolev is a very serviceable ECHL to AHL player who was
he had a
undrafted.
decent early season last year too. Like
Yeah, he did.
He's undrafted. That's already
He's been
he's already
bouncing.
got his money's worth. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been up and down. Listen, 100%. He was never going to crack.
No, that was just a roster, a contract slot. is what that
Yeah.
was.
So somebody else along the lines of maybe a Gogolev would get Kerfoot, that type of tier prospect, and you mentioned maybe a third for somebody like Luke Shen. Now here's the thing, right? On D, the Leafs have Riley, Brody, Liljegren, Sandin, Giordano,
McCabe,
Hall, Jake McCabe, Connor
yeah,
It's a
Timmins.
lot of defensemen.
Jordy
It's a lot of
Bang.
defensemen. So, man, I genuinely I think this might be the first time, Christian, that we see Kyle Dubas subtract from what he already has. But
Yeah,
he put it. It's not that he put himself in that position. Like what a great position to put yourself in. Like an embarrassment of riches, right? Because for as much flack as Justin Hall takes from the Leafs media, in particular the Leafs fan base and Leafs media, he is still a very serviceable defenseman. Relatively, I don't know if maybe he's not living up to his $2 million for Justin Hall for this year. You know, you could do a lot worse. Like Seth Jones is making 8, and I'd rather take Justin Hall than Seth Jones right now. So,
it's hilarious to say, but it's true. Yeah, like I still like they like they're guys that have already like come up in the Leaf system. They've been
yeah,
institutionalized. They know Keefe's
but
system. They know the
it's not
values
even
and
just
everything.
that. Like
Yeah,
Justin Hall has been Kyle to a point.
he's been a
Kyle
Dubas
Dubas
guy.
and keeps like man
Yeah,
since his Marlies days, right?
Dubas
Um,
acquired him, and right, like he came from Chicago, and like you said,
and
Keefe was there
and
with the
Kerfoot
Marlies.
Kerfoot is someone who wasn't drafted by the organization, but was brought in under different circumstances, trading out Nazem Kadri, and has stuck around ever since. Uh, so he was somebody that was targeted by Dubas in particular, but he also has found his way into the hearts and minds of Sheldon Keefe, right? So it's going to be very tough to see. At the end of the day, if any of those three players, I'm including Engvall in that conversation, is off, like will be traded off the team, it'll genuinely be a sad moment for the guys on the team because by all accounts, somebody like Justin Hall has developed such a close friendship with guys like Matthews, Marner. Like he seems like one of those prototypical
Total
locker
glue
room
guy.
guys, the glue guy, exactly. So
Same goes for Kerfoot too. Like so many
same goes for
stories about
Kerfoot
Kerfoot.
too.
Like Kerfoot and Matthews are really tight. Those guys are
Mhm.
really tight. Engvall, honestly, he's an unknown in the locker room. We don't really get too many
Yeah,
Engvall stories, but even another guy that we got to mention because he could be waived or he might be falling out of the lineup. Zach Aston Reese.
yeah,
The amount of Zach
bizarre.
Aston Reese stories I've heard this year, like about him in the locker room, reading about him, Bunty. This is the quartet, the super not Super Smash Bros. They play Mario Party. Justin Hall, Austin Matthews, Michael Bunting, and Zach Aston Reese. Okay, those that's the squad on the plane, my guy. So even him, like if he's a casualty, I don't know. Like I will it hurt the locker room? Maybe a little bit, but I think
Yeah,
they understand what's going on here,
it'll
right?
it'll. That's what I mean. Like it'll definitely affect because you're losing your friend, right?
Yeah,
But they also I feel like they also are professional enough to understand
It's
it's a
business.
business at the end of the day, right? And listen, unfortunately, it's looking a lot like by the hour now. It's not even by the day. It's looking by the hour that one of those three in particular will have to be moved off this team. And unfortunately, like we've had like some genuinely good moments with all three of them. So I
Kerfoot's had
guess
some great playoff showings, man.
he has,
That
and
guy shows up.
he's also had a couple low light performances, right? But everybody goes through that, right? So if this is the end of the road for any of the three of them, I'd like to personally thank them for their services. I guess we could do that on this pod because by the time Sunday comes,
It's
that
done.
it's gonna be over, right? So thank you for your time in Toronto to whoever it is.
Whoever.
Insert player's name here. Uh, but the Leafs are loading up, man. There's no two ways about it, and I was honestly astounded that it would be a move. Like I personally thought we
This
would
is.
just make
I was
a.
not expecting it.
I was expecting like Luke Shen for a third, and like I was like,
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you had told me before, would you have wanted McCabe and Lafferty for this return, for that return that they gave up, or Luke Shen for a so-called third or fourth rounder? 100%, 10 times out of 10, you take that first deal and you don't look back. So you know what, Kyle Dubas, you did it before, buddy. You did it again. What an absolute no, I don't want to call it a steal just yet, but what a on paper, it's looking that looks like an
The
absolute
roster. We
spicy,
timed that well, Dave.
spicy.
What?
We did
What?
spicy meatball of a trade.
What?
I gotta just say, Kyle Dubas put the dub in Dubas, and I know terrible. Gotta make my terrible pun. I want to draw a parallel here, another parallel. Brian's gonna like this one more because he can get in the conversation here. I think we have to compare this trade to the Orlov Hathaway acquisition by Boston.
Yes.
And when you consider the prices, right, given up for these two deals, me and Dave have already gone into how much we loved Hathaway, and Brian's talked about his love for Hathaway and Orlov extensively. And yet still, honestly, this might be the better deal. The prices are close enough. And I'm telling, but Brian, listen, here's the kicker. The kicker is you getting Jake McCabe, not for just this season, but next season and the season after at $2 million, right?
Like 50%.
And Sam Lafferty's not a UFA either, right? And he's only making 1.25 or 1.125 for this year and next year, right? 1.15. So when you have the context of their contracts, I give the nod to the Leafs here. Despite me liking both players in the Bruins deal better, the context of the contracts, wow. And I did not expect us to be saying that the Leafs would make another move bigger than the Bruins. I don't know if the Bruins or the Lightning have another move in them of this size.
Oh, the Lightning do,
right?
100%. It's gonna be like catch up now because the Leafs were the first, right? They were that first domino in almost in like the whole league. Like at first it was the Isles with Horvat, then it was Tarasenko, and then it was the Leafs, right? And it was almost like right after that trade, it was like all hell started to break loose because it was like you could project that trade happened legitimately just over a week ago. The Ryan O'Reilly trade.
Yeah.
It's been like the craziest 2 weeks in hockey.
10 days?
10 days.
I don't know what the
Friday 10
was,
days.
Right? Yeah.
Or 9.5 because that was at midnight. So, and since then, we've seen some big trades and big pieces being moved. And I don't think that we're done. Like, I think this is genuinely like, it's going to go down to the Friday. But I did want to ask one question. Brian, as a neutral, what are your thoughts on this trade?
I think that's
so true. We didn't even get this guy.
I like the all in for 2 years concept. With going to the Bruins, this is more of an all in year for them, given Bergeron's age, and we know that Pasternak's gonna get re-signed, but he's gonna get a higher cap hit, so it's gonna be more difficult to move money around. But given their situation, obviously they would pay more for the better players, quote unquote, right? So which explains why they would want the UFAs. Meanwhile, for you guys have a little bit more youth in you. You guys have a little bit more time, and that's why I like the 2-year window kind of a situation. The McCabe acquisition kind of reminds me of the Muzzin acquisition before he got re-signed. I think that when you guys got him, he had 2 years left in his contract, correct?
He had 2 years left, but I think the number was 4.
Yes.
I want to say that was the number, yeah.
But now you have
very similar.
Very similar player in the sense that they're both physical, they're both big guys, they're both defensive defensemen, but on 50% of that salary for another 2 years. I mean, he did.
I want to see surprised Chicago was willing to do that. To be honest, like that's not nothing. $2 million of dead cap for 3 years or 2.5 years.
I am surprised too, but yeah, like I'm not surprised in the sense that they're running the tank show over there. They're holding on to as many anchors as they can on purpose, just to rebuild wherever they have there. We can get into that later. Let's stick with Toronto for now. But you know what? I'm happy for you guys. I don't think that you guys are done. I think that Dubas has another card up his sleeve,
Yeah,
and
it's
I think that's going to be the jaw dropper, whatever it is, whether it be a subtraction or
Ooh.
whether it be a
my
potential.
jaw has fallen off my face. My jaw dropped, and then my jaw broke, and it's now 6 feet in the ground. Brian, where else is my jaw supposed to go, man?
Oh, it could be going to Columbus to get Gustav Nyquist, like we previously mentioned in a previous
Oh
article.
yes,
That could
oh
happen.
yes.
But one thing I just want to ask you guys: what does your top four look like? What are the line pairings? What do you think? How do you think
Dude,
they're going to work out?
Dave, I have no idea. Like, if you have an
Okay.
idea, I'd love to hear it because
So
you could do
I
so
was
many things.
actually so I was actually
Okay.
messaging my friend before this, and
Yep.
he was like, first so this is what he suggested. He was like, you put uh Giordano and Lilligren together, Brody and
I agree.
Sandin, Riley and McCabe. And I was like, I don't know if I want that right. Like, I don't know if I want Riley and McCabe together right now. Before I've seen a game yet, I just think, I think
Easy,
personally
man.
right now, Riley needs somebody to kind of just watch him defensively. And I think Brody's been that guy and will continue to be that guy. So I was saying Riley and Brody and putting Sandin with McCabe and maybe easing him in on like a modified second to third line, like kind of interchanging that Giordano and Lilligren and Sandy and McCabe pair. I would like put McCabe as like the sixth man, but you know that he's not the sixth man. You know what I
He's gonna
mean?
get the PK time anyways, right? Like, your
Yeah,
PK guys now. Let's say Hall is the seven. Riley and Sandine don't touch the PK, right?
yeah,
Maybe Riley does because I know he's been doing it forever, but you really don't need to because you've got McCabe, Brody, Giordano, and Lilligren. Those are all guys who can pound kill. And then if you have Hall in, you would be dropping Lilligren from the pound kill units, right?
I
So,
think in that scenario, especially for like Sandin, we want him to grow. Like I don't expect him like I'm expecting him to take jumps, but maybe not till next year. Do I want
yeah,
him taking more of a role? If he's staying down there and just getting the what is it, 14, 15 minutes a night, that's completely fine with me. For Riley though, it has looked this year in particular, and it's kind of been the trend for a couple of years, but it looks like he's being really really overused. So if Riley isn't used on the penalty kill, let's say, maybe you throw somebody in like McCabe and you kind of cut back his like Riley's minutes just a little bit. Maybe that in the long run will help the team now and for the future. Like you're not just gonna kill, Riley's
That's
legs by
it,
34.
it seems to me like that's just a good problem to have. It's like a first world problem. Who should we have for the 25th
absolutely.
minute? Riley, Giordano, Brody, or McCabe?
Oh,
You
maybe not
don't.
Giordano. Not for
Yeah,
25
that's the
minutes a
Okay,
guy's
night.
fair.
minutes we gotta conserve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, you guys have a plethora of defensemen to use. Before we end it off, I just want to ask you both just this one question before we head off. Yes or no? Have you guys won the arms race?
You got to ask us that on Sunday. It's it.
Um,
That's true. Yeah.
I'm never going to
yeah.
count the Bruins or the Bolts out of it. I'll say what I said all of last night when the Janot deal went down. I refuse to clown our Atlantic Division counterparts from this day for the rest of the year because they're just going to shove it down our throats. The Janot deal, they paid a ton, but god damn it, it doesn't matter if they beat us. Same goes for the Bruins in round two and whatever else they do from this point forward. Won't say it's the arms race. The winner of the arms race is whoever's the last alive in the conference finals. That's who won the arm race.
Dude, you honestly took the words right out of my mouth. I literally couldn't have said that better myself. I'm saying no to the arms race because, like all other arms race in history, the only time I'm gonna use this. Like, I'm not gonna like the team is a country, right? The last time
Choose the
teams
words
won an
carefully
arms
here.
race. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to like tiptoe around some subjects here, but the last time like teams won the arm race was like you could definitively say that they won it was after the battles were done. So you asked me that question when in the Atlantic division, especially if whoever finishes like comes out of the Atlantic division, whether that's in the semifinals or the conference finals, it looks like it's going to be the conference finals, but the person to come out of the East at this point, because let's not forget, it's not just the Atlantic that's been
6 horse
loading up.
race.
We mentioned it before. The Metropolitan might just be like neck and neck with the Atlantic in stocking up on weapons.
They're
Like
not done either, man. The Hurricanes,
and
they
they're
haven't
not
made their
done
move
either.
yet. And they might be
Exactly.
making multiple now.
They might have to make multiple now.
Yeah.
Like it's not even because they want to. Like they might genuinely have to make 2 or 3 separate trades just to keep pace. And who knows what's happening out west, but it looks like that's where a lot of the pieces are coming from. So right now it is a battle in not just the Atlantic, not just the Metropolitan, but all of the Eastern Conference. It's going to be this is probably like the best time if you aren't really into hockey, or maybe you've been falling out of love of hockey recently. This is the best time to tune back in, and especially with the Eastern teams. And I'm not gonna discredit any teams out west, but the Eastern Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath until I would say about mid-May.
Yeah.
Hey Brian, where could you tune in to the Eastern Conference?
You can tune into the Eastern Conference on Fubo TV. In the States, you have your regional networks. In Canada, you can catch Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday nights on Fubo TV. You can also catch the playoffs on Fubo TV. I'm going to make that claim now, even though I'm not too sure. I'm assuming that Hockey Night in Canada is on CBC. I was about to say CIBC,
Yeah,
but no, network CBC. Anyway, you can also get your Jake McCabe jersey on NHLShop.ca or NHLShop.com.
Or Sam Lafferty.
Yeah,
now,
that too.
you know what I just realized? I can't remember what number Jake McCabe has been
8.
wearing on Chicago.
8? Oh, he's 8. Yeah.
Okay, but Dave, what if this guy takes 24? We had a McCabe that was 24. You could just bring out your own, right? I'm just saying.
That's right.
Ooh. I think he has to choose 24 now. I just wanted to say
I think he does. But what I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe.
Pardon me, Dave? You
cut out. Yeah, you cut out there, buddy.
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
You're good now. Go ahead.
I think Sam Lafferty might be 24.
Ooh, you might be right, man.
Oh, what if Lafferty does the inverse and does 42? And McCabe takes 24. Ty Bozeman.
I'm good with all that.
Brian McCabe. Oh my God.
Anyway, also shout out to Razor. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully we don't have to do another one of these, but I can see Patrick Kane getting traded tomorrow and us having to do this.
Oh yeah, dude, you said that now.
Apparently he can officially fit in the Rangers cap right now, like right at this moment. So
guys, I'll see you guys in about 4 hours.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'm gonna sit right here for the rest of the week.
All right, that's a wrap. Jake McCabe's a Leaf.